Coming up in this episode of Sailing Safar, we end our Norwegian adventure in Bergen before we set sail back across the North Sea. Just two brothers with two boats on one unforgettable sailing adventure. We begin our adventure in the beautiful town of Bergen, a place I've been eager to visit for a long time. Nestled among the mountains and surrounded by dramatic scenery, Bergen has long been known as a gateway to Norway's coast. From the moment we sailed into the harbour, the city's deep maritime routes were clear, with boats coming and going, shipyards humming with activity, and a harbour that has welcomed sailors for centuries. This stop was a little bit different, as my mum had flown out to visit Liam and me. It had been a while since we had last seen her, so it was great to catch up and show her a glimpse of life on board. Once she arrived, we spent some time exploring the city together, before heading to one of Bergen's main attractions, the Maritime Museum. The museum tells the story of Norway's seafaring past, from the days of Viking longships to the modern era of oil platforms and polar expeditions. Getting a glimpse into Norway's maritime history was fascinating, and I'd recommend the museum to anyone visiting. Following our tour of Bergen, we decided to take our poor mum out for a trip on the boats. The weather started off typically Norwegian, with low clouds and drizzle, and a bit of chill in the air. But after a few hours of grey skies and lumpy seas, the clouds finally broke. By the time we dropped anchor in a quiet bay amongst the islands, the evening had turned calm and bright. We took a quick step ashore on the small island of Buoyna, stretching our legs and taking in the peaceful surroundings. Pine trees, rocky shoreline, with not another soul in sight. It was one of those simple moments that makes cruising in Norway so special. As the light softened and the water stilled, we returned to the boat and had a peaceful night at anchor. After a few restful days, and once my mum had departed, we remained in port awaiting a suitable weather window to solo sail our boats back across the North Sea and return home.
Alright, so this is us about to set sail for Inverness. We're a little apprehensive right now. Well, I'm a little apprehensive. The wave conditions are looking a little bit gnarly. But the thing is looking at the weather, because we've been watching it now for about a week or two, there hasn't really been a really good opportunity for crossing.
Yeah, this is kind of the only real opportunity we've got later on in the week. It looks favourable for like maybe 1 or 2 days, and then there's another weather system coming in. This isn't the most ideal weather window, with the North Sea being stirred up by recent gales and there being a giant void in the centre of no wind. However, it is an opportunity to get our boats across before the next system moves in. I guess we shall get going, so good luck.
Thank you.
See you on the other side, sir.
Yeah,
and,
didn't get dressed up just to take it all off again. Let's get out there.
Yeah. When you set off on an adventure at sea, especially on one of those dark, blustery, grey days, it can give you the heebie-jeebies. But sometimes you just have to hoist the sails, trust your gut, and hope for the best. We knew the forecast would only improve from the moment we departed, so with that tucked away in the back of our minds, we headed out between the islands and into the North Sea. Well, after a bit of a lumpy motor sail to try and leave Norway, finally just been able to turn the engine off, which is well, really good news, to be honest. It's so much more stable once the breeze is filling the sails. The swell's still really quite large, probably you know, over 4 meters right now. But the period's not too bad at the moment. See if the camera will pick it up. It probably won't. Maybe you can see that. Liam is just ahead, right up in the distance there, in the sun. But yeah, feels good to be back sailing again. Hopefully this wind stays, because it was a bit uncomfortable while the engine was on.
So it's all changed now. We are finally sailing again, and it looks like the breeze is here to stay. It was quite up and down when we were first leaving Norway, and rain squalls just pelting through, and the wave height was sort of 4 meters-ish. Morgan spreaders were disappearing in the waves, but not having any wind to steady the boat out, it was really it was pretty nasty. But anyway, now the wind seems to be steady around about 14 knots, which is good. So the boat has steadied out, which is great. Although it might be increasing a bit now. I might have to put another reef in. This is day 1 at sea now, first evening. Just taking the flag down because it's starting to go dark. And we're cracking along nicely. We're doing 6.7 knot speed over the ground at the moment. And the true wind speed is sort of up and down. There are sort of clouds that are scooting by, which are bringing the stronger breezes when they cross over, and we've opened up a bit of a gap between ourselves and Morgan for the evening, so we're at about 2.5 miles now between the two of us.
Well, it's time to put a reef in. I just got my head down for a nap, and then a squall has come in, but it's kind of sustained winds of over 20 knots, although it's at 19 right now, 17 knots now. But yeah, I think we'll just stick the first reef in, and then we're safe, you know. The wind is supposed to drop as the night goes on, but I'll just put it in, and that way I can sleep a bit more soundly. It's annoying though, because I just got all ready for bed and out of my clothes. My sailing boots have been leaking, so I've got to wear plastic bags as socks so I don't get wet feet. But I suppose it's all part of the fun.
So it's glorious right now here in the North Sea. The only downside is, as you can hear, that is the worst thing about sailing sometimes. It's not having too much wind, it's having not enough. When there's not enough to actually fill the sails, they just slat, bang, bang, bang. And in the doing of that, it tends to break things. And yeah, that there is a batten car out to the mainsail right now. it's pinged it with the backwards and forwards motion of it slatting. Fortunately, I've got all the bits, so that's good. I can put it all back together again. But it does mean I'm going to have to drop the sail so I can get to the batten to put it in. The wind is supposed to be dropping out within the hour, and then we'll probably end up having to motor most of today until around about 9-10 this evening is what the weather forecasts are showing. But right now we're still making 2.3 knots, 2.8 knots, so I'm still just trying to hang on for a little bit longer, because every mile made on the sail is a mile less made using diesel power. So it saves money and it's better for the environment.
It's dinner time on board Safar. Nothing too jazzy tonight. I've just boiled some potatoes and I'll turn that into a mash. And then this is just a can of stewing steak and gravy. And yeah, that should keep me well fed. Looks like we got a guest off our side as well. Let's have a look at that. Oh, look who it is. Good evening, folks. So, see the boat's rolling around a little bit. Okay, good evening, folks. So, just having a look at the weather forecast. The latest forecasts are out now, and so using predict wind, we are on the sail routing option. Looking at the forecast, you can see this is our current position right now. So we are pretty much smack bang in the middle of the North Sea with no wind. But as the evening progresses, you kind of see that by 11:40ish this evening, we're going to start to get some southerly breeze coming from the south, obviously. You can tell I'm tired. We're starting to get the breeze coming from the south, and then that should then stay with us for the remainder of the passage. Builds a little bit in strength, but it's not too crazy. It's 18 knots, so as long as it doesn't really come too far forward of the beam, should be all right.
So the wind's filled in, which is wonderful news. We got the wind back around about 11 o'clock last night, so we were able to finally turn the engine off and get going. And we've done 225 nautical miles so far since leaving Norway, and we've got 123 nautical miles still to go to get into the Moray Firth just outside of Inverness, which is where we're anticipating going.
It can take a couple of days to really settle into an offshore solo sailing routine. Sleep deprivation can be tricky and often puts you in a foul mood. However, I find the best cure is a favourable breeze, a blue sky, and a beautiful glimpse of the sun to lift your spirits and keep you going. Well, good morning from the North Sea on day number 2, I think. This is the second morning I've had at sea. So yeah, coming up to 2 days, I think. Thought we'd just do a really quick chart update. I hope you can see it. So we're probably around about 2/3 the way across now. Inverness is about 100 miles to our sort of southwest, and we are on, well, a bit of a beat at the moment, not fully hard on the wind, but yeah, certainly going to windward, making about sort of 5 knots ish. The wind is quite light still, but it is forecast to increase up to about 18 knots. At the moment we have about 12 knots of apparent right now, so yeah, we're not flying along on this passage, that's for sure. Liam, you can see, is just off our port beam, and so he's 2.3 miles out, which is a nice good distance, and then we've got a rig ahead of us about 15 miles away. But yeah, looking forward to the breeze just filling in a little bit more to really get the boat going. As the day went on, the wind gradually built, and even though it was a bit forward of the beam with a small lumpy swell, we had fantastic sailing conditions. Well, we've just had our little bit of sport, and now we're back. Well, we're not fooling around anymore. We're reefed down and we're heading to where we should be going, which is Inverness. Wind is increasing slowly, so getting up to about sort of 22, 24-ish gusting. So I've popped to the second reef in the main, and I've taken a few fills on the Yankee as well, and the staysail's still up, and it's comfortable. Still got a little bit of a heel, and we're getting some waves splash up and over, but actually the wave height's not too bad. So yeah, it is pretty comfortable.
Safar.
Aiaia, Safar, go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon. How you getting on?
Yeah, all good. Just putting a couple of fills in the Yankee. See the wind's picked up again.
Yeah, we're cracking along at a rapid rate right now. 7 knots.
Yeah, doing something similar myself.
So it's the last few miles to go. It's the last night, and then we should be back in Scotland. We've got 31.1 nautical miles to go, and we're making our way now down the Moray Firth, and then we just have to get into the into Inverness Firth here, and then I think the plan is we'll probably move through and then anchor off the Caledonian Canal for the night. The wind keeps coming and going. It's quite strange. Like, you'll have moments where it's up to 20 knots and then it drops out again. It goes to nothing and then it keeps up and down. So we're in between motoring and sailing. Right now we're sailing. Got force 4 and the wind's from the south, which is quite nice. So we're making good progress and we're getting in. The tide is currently against us, but we should start to make better time as soon as the tide turns, which should be in the next hour. So yeah, we're making good speed, 6.8 at the moment, which is good.
Well, good morning from Fort Rose, I think we are at. And it's like summer back in Scotland. It's actually warm. I've put a jumper and everything on this morning, expecting it to be really chilly, but yeah, it's like summer here. It's all very perfectly flat, very calm. We've got a nice little beach just off to the side. Yeah, bloody wonderful. So we got in last night at around probably anchor all down and settled by maybe 3 AM ish, something like that. 4 AM, or was it 4 AM? I don't know. 3 AM. And I think the passage was 2 days, 14 hours. So wasn't blisteringly fast, but you know, it was all good. We had a good sail yesterday. Last night was getting a bit cold, a bit tedious. It was just sort of dragging on. Ended up motoring the final section, but as you can see, there's not a lot of wind out there. But that looks like Liam's got his engine fired up, so I guess I shall go do the same. And then we yeah, just do the final leg now and get back to the canal again.
Good morning, folks. So it is the final push to get to Inverness. We actually anchored last night in just across the way from Fort George, which is over there. And you can see Safar in the background. And we've just entered into Inverness Firth and now heading for Keswick Bridge, which is just before where the canal starts. So our North Sea passage was 2 days, 14 hours and 30 minutes, which was quite good considering that we basically had to motor all of day 2. But day 1 we got some sailing in, and yesterday was pretty much sailing all the way, and we entered we dropped anchor just at the beginning of Fort George there last night in the early hours, about 3 in the morning. But it was quite good. We've been greeted with some sunshine and dolphins, and we've had a bit of wildlife this morning, seals, and they've just been coming up next to the boat whilst we've been at anchor. It's nice, got a good rest in, because obviously when you're solo sailing, it's trying to take rest is quite tricky, because you can only really take 20-minute power naps, and that's all I've had for 3 days. So last night, having sleeping from 3 till around about 7 in the morning, that felt like a long sleep. So I'm definitely a lot better rested than I have been. But yeah, it's gorgeous and it's great to be back in Scotland.
As Safar approaches the Caledonian Canal, let's have a quick look back at our time in Norway and what made this adventure just so special. Oh,
Yeah, Matt.
cheers.
Cheers. Back in the canal.
Mm.
Having crossed the North Sea for the second time.
Nice, that's my first time North Sea, solo. Second time for this chap here. And yeah, not a bad little passage, all in all.
Yeah, it was a little bit exciting. Just leaving Norway because there had been strong winds forecast, over a 4.6, and there was 4 metre swells that were out in just off the coast of Norway when we set out. The breeze had come down, but the swell was still remaining, so it was quite.
Yeah, we were thrown about a bit. We did get
washing
sailing, then we had a day of motoring, and then a cracking day sailing yesterday. But
Yeah.
here we are again, back to canal boat life, which means drinking beers,
Not whilst we're driving though.
sticking my own fenders out because bloody Sam's not here to do it for me.
Yeah, where are you at, Sam?
But yeah, very good. I guess we'll treat ourselves to some fish and chips or something this evening, and I don't know, how about 8 hours sleep as well? Sounds.
A solid 8 hours sleep
Yes.
as opposed to 20-minute cat naps. My word. I'll be able to think clearly.
Oh, I don't like the sound of that.